The landscape you live in is part of how you understand who you are. The Smith Family Ranch as a character in our films, it's certainly carried unconsciously through all the work that we're doing. There's this sort of complicated and ghostly presence in history of memory and the permutation of the past on the present that exists here.
This place is bittersweet because this place is loaded for us with primarily the big trauma, which was the loss of our father here in the kitchen. He knew he was not well and he could die. And part of his acceptance was building this place and creating a haven, a sanctuary for us. We had all this fun here, being in the river, being in the cliffs, being in the woods, being in the meadow, and just really connecting with all the seasons. And so the ranch was a character. It's a really interesting mixture of the ghosts of this trauma and the triumphs and joys. It's a great wellspring for not only story, but sort of cinema.
We were really blessed to have grown up with two storytellers and then a third when my father died and my mother started living with Bill Kittredge. So there was a continuum of the value around storytelling. And all of our parents' friends, a lot of them were writers. So it wasn't just in the house, it was what was valued at a dinner party or around the conversation.
Just grow up around Jim Crumley and James Welch and Tom McGuane and Jim Harrison. You do get sort of inside baseball on what it is to be a writer and to tell stories. All tribes have a storytelling need and creation myths and so on. And I think it's how we make sense of the world, how we make sense of chaos. And there's always, you get into these fate versus chance questions. But a story is somebody going through some obstacle and facing some kind of hardship. In hearing a story, the reason we want these stories is because there is an outcome. And so we hunger for guidance or a map of how to behave, how to overcome adversity, how to connect. I'd say in all our films, the main character is trying to, in some way, connect with his father.
My daughter said, "Are you ever going to make a film in which the dad doesn't die?" The other day, I was like, "Yeah, I'm working on it." I guess there's another way of thinking of these stories that are haunted by death, is that they're also stories of survival. The Slaughter Rule was a project that was born out of our own experiences, but then transformed a lot through fiction.
We were trying to make it as much about the world we grew up in as possible, partly because the idea is somewhat inspired by the poet Richard Hugo, which is the more specific you are about your hometown, the more it actually resonates for other people's memories of their hometowns. Our films are like not a very good rancher, not a very good cowboy, not a very good hunter, because that's us. We've made these 3 Montana films. We have 2 more that we're hoping to achieve. We have a sort of a quintet of Montana films, each one set in a different part of the state in a different era.
In Walking Out, Montana is a character in the form of being a mountain, as its name has been translated. We specifically shot at Montana, and it's very specifically set where the short story is set.
Quammen came to Montana and wrote the story set in Montana, and I like what Andrew just said, Montana equals, in Spanish, mountain. It takes a certain perseverance and a certain grit to live in the Mountain West. The weather's for real, and there's some high altitudes and some lonely spaces and some strange characters out there. But it's also just overwhelmingly beautiful, and you really connect with the seasons and with the land and the water and the big sky. We are interested in coming at these Western stories, but from another angle, and kind of imploding some of this macho mythos.
The main thing is to get out of the extraction in the sport industries as being the predominant ways that the region's been experienced, is troubling to me. It's like there's lives are actually lived here, and those lives are valuable.